back to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel. In this video, I'm happy to say we finally made it to the season finale of season 2 of And Just Like That. Pause for applause. Thank you guys for sticking with me. It has been a journey, and what a strange journey it has been. So let's dive right in. The centering event of this episode is Carrie's last supper, her farewell to her single girl apartment. I still have mixed feelings about her letting it go, but I do kind of love that it's being passed on to her younger neighbor who is coming into her own kind of existence in New York, like single girl trying to make it in New York. So there is something really beautiful about that. But the apartment is iconic, and I kind of love the idea of it always being Carrie's. But again, things evolve, life changes, and, good for Carrie and good for capitalism, okay? So I really loved, because I don't want to forget saying this, the prompt that Carrie had for everyone at the dinner, where she has everyone to say one thing you want to let go of. That's something that the next thing that I host, if I ever become the type of bitch who hosts things, I would love to give that prompt to people. I think that we live in an age where we're constantly taught to collect and to gather and to hold, and consumerism and all the things. And so I like the idea of what are some things that we can let go of to make space for new, for better, for evolution. So I really liked that. We finally got the Samantha cameo that has been teased, and oh, it may happen, it may not. I'm happy that the creators found a way to make it work. I also love that she is so staunchly against fooling with these folks that she was like, well, I'll do it, but I'm not about to actually shoot a scene with none of these girls. That's a commitment to boundaries that I aspire to, and I'm sure they paid her out the ass just to sit in a car. So she's calling Carrie to say to Carrie that she cannot actually make it to the Last Supper, but she says her own farewell to the apartment. I thought that was a really on beat moment. Even with them not being in the same room, that moment felt energetically like Sex in the City. And my struggle with this entire season is that this doesn't feel like the same show. All these stories don't feel like they're taking place in the same universe. So, y'all know I'm not here for that cat. I do think that the name is really cute, Shoe and Shoe on your feet and shoe go away. I'm just not a cat person. They freak me out. So I'm going to skip ahead because we need to get to the big thing of this episode. Charlotte wakes up hungover, and Harry is having this moment where he says, I can't do it all. And there's this very on the nose speech of you're just doing a fraction of what women have been expected to do for forever. I'm just asking for help, and I need your support in more than just your words. And I continue to feel love is a verb. Be about that action. Don't just say how you feel about me and that you appreciate me. Show it by partnering with me. And I really love that. I even like how they ended the episode with them trying to figure out Charlotte's new iPhone. I thought that was really cute, and also product placement. So Miranda stops by to see Steve at his new place on the Coney Island Pier, and she really just doesn't want to be a person from Steve's past. They meant a lot to each other. They built a life together. He was right about them buying a house in Brooklyn together, which now, because real estate, they wouldn't be able to afford, and all these things like that. And they get to a good place where they can be friends, and it seems like Steve is actually over things with Miranda. And I find that to be almost kind of miraculous. But I think back to the fact that there are people that I never thought that I would get over, that I'm like, girl, why'd you even give that person your phone number? That was weird. So I'm happy for Steve, and I'm happy for Miranda. Brady sees them getting along, and that makes him really happy. Miranda's look at the Last Supper was so stunning. I love when redheads wear red. I love when redheads wear jewel tones, but for a redhead to wear red and pull it off, because you have to get the tone of the red right, and when it works so well. I absolutely loved it. So Miranda quietly confronts Shay about the jokes and everything. And again, everything is tied with a really nice little bow, and they agree that they were a beautiful train wreck, and, all things are necessary for growth. And Shay, says that she'll never make those jokes again. They're in disagreement about whether or not the jokes were funny, but whatever. Miranda gets called away to do a live interview on BBC in her boss's stead. And this is why you gotta stay ready so you ain't gotta get ready. Because she was already in a stunning look. Makeup was already done and she just slid through. Her and the producer seem to be hitting it off, and I like that she's sticking with her sobriety. I completely forgot that Miranda is a sober person. Because again, that's one of those things that they kind of peppered in, but it's not an overarching theme. And maybe that's something that happens in real life where when you're a sober person, not every single thing is centered around that, but it seems like it's something that we would be more cognizant of. Maybe it would be brought to our attention more, but whatever. So good for Miranda. So Dr. Naya, I absolutely love the Andre DeShields cameo. He is a really important choreographer and actor. I think he's like a Tony Award winning performer and educator and all of the things. So that was beautiful. So he comes in to tell, well, in real life, he comes in to tell Dr. Naya that she's been elected to the American Law Institute. And this is a really big deal for her, right? So out of habit, she goes to call Andre to share this good news because it's something that she's been wanting for a really long time. And the way grief hits you at just remembering that life is different, that person is no longer in that place in your life. You don't call that person to share good news or bad news anymore. That's really difficult. And I'm going to tell you, as a single person who's been single for a really, really long time, that's one of the hard parts about being single is when great things happen for you, you want to kind of share them with someone else. You can share them with your friends and with your family, but there's something about having a partner to share those moments with. It's just a different kind of intimacy. Not that one is more or less significant, but you do kind of long for that kind of intimacy to share special moments with. And I'm happy that they pointed that out. That is a part of the grieving process of a divorce. And it's also part of one of the things that makes being single difficult. You want to matter the most to someone, and times like that is where you wish you had that. I really love that the Michelin chef is the guy who she met, episode 1, Toussaint, and they get to reconnect. I love when things like this happen because you're just like, oh my God, what happened to that guy? It seems like it would be a really good match. There is this immense sexual tension between them throughout the whole dinner, which really made me uncomfortable. And I'm not a prude, but I was just like, y'all, in front of everyone's salads? Really? We're doing this? Get a room, like Anthony said. It still doesn't feel like part of the show. It still feels like a peppered in thing. It does not feel like part of the show. It feels like a separate show. It feels like it should be a separate show. Whatever. So at the end of the night, Toussaint offers to drive her home, and he's like, do you have anything to eat? Because duh, he was cooking. He didn't get to eat. And, she welcomes him in. Hopefully they had a good night. So Lisa Todd Wexley has to share the news of her miscarriage with Charlotte. And of course, Charlotte wants to react. And Lisa Todd Wexley is like, bitch, keep it together. Thank you for not allowing Charlotte to center herself in that moment, because Jesus Christ. And so after hearing Carrie do this baby talk to the cat, she gets triggered, and she and Herbert have to have this chat of like, did I wish the baby away with my fears and with my anxieties? And I'm just so happy to see a Black woman being loved and supported and cared for. And just even the way that the episode ended with them holding each other and taking care of each other in this thing that for some people, I have friends that have had miscarriages where it completely wrecked them. I had friends who had miscarriages that it was like, girl, it's not a big deal. That wasn't a baby. It hits everyone differently. I think all of those stories are important to be told. And I think that the way she felt about it, based on what I've heard, is completely normal. There is this kind of self-blame. And I think women are socialized to blame ourselves for everything anyway, but especially when it comes to reproductive issues. That's completely normal. I'm happy that they had each other to get through that. Is Herbert still running for office? Okay. So Shay is transitioning from an asshole to a better person, and then they hook up with the young person who stopped by the vet. Like, okay, whatever, Shay. So Anthony, again, peppered in storyline. Giuseppe is considering returning to Rome because he is not able to get published as a poet here in America. And it's also that like Anthony is being really withholding and keeping up walls, and they are not even thinly veiling the metaphor of him not letting him in his back door physically, but also Anthony not letting him in emotionally. And, Anthony is like, I was used to running everything in my last relationship. And there is this whole thing about control. And I think that the way we feel about control in our lives really probably does inform our desires when it comes to sex. That's something that I just thought about. Wow. So they tell each other they love each other. They're making out, and then all's well that ends well. Like, okay, great. Giuseppe's gonna stay. He's not gonna, go to Rome. Great. So Seema is there with Robbie. Seema still has a lot of regrets about saying I love you, and she thinks that Robbie is pulling away since she said I love you. And Carrie is like, girl, I think it might be you who's pulling away because you finally are at the precipice of something that could be really good, and maybe you're afraid. And she finally has to confront the awkwardness of him having to be on his phone for work and social media and the things like that. And Robbie is like, bitch, I like you. I'm here for this. You the one who being weird. Why are you being weird to me? So Robbie actually has to leave for work to go film in Egypt. And obviously that involves a lot of logistics and red tape and whatnot. And he asked Seema to come with him because he's really committed to their situation. But Seema is like, I can't leave for 5 months to go to, or 6 months to go to freaking Egypt with you. Like, I have a job. I have a life here. I'm not going to just give my life up. I ain't gonna hold you. If I owned my own company and I was that financially secure, I'd go for at least a month or two. I'd slide through for a month or two. But I'm not that ambitious. That might be bad to say, but I'm not like that. I'd be like, shit, I'll slide through. I'll come through for a little bit, And maybe that's why I don't have my own business, because I'm not that ambitious. So they're in love. Everything's great. Let's circle back to Carrie. So, sorry, y'all, now I have my notes. So, Aiden surprises Carrie and comes to the apartment, and Carrie is like, wait, why didn't we have any luggage? Long story short, Wyatt is 14 and obviously struggling with substance abuse. He has always been his kid's primary caregiver. He does not feel that he can actually bounce back and forth between New York and Virginia like they'd hoped that they could. And so he needs to be there more for his sons. And he asked Carrie for more. And Carrie is still like, well, I can come there more. And Carrie's still wanting to be flexible and still wanting to show up because she's committed to this situation. And it feels like, once again, they're not on the same timetable. And he asked her for 5 years. 5 years. Oof. This was rough for me. I feel like this is why people don't want to date people with kids, because kids should always be the priority. And your kids don't stop being your kids just because they're 18, if you're a good parent. And this gave me a lot to think about as a single woman who I'm 36. I'm 36. The older I get, the chances that I'll get with someone who doesn't have kids is like slim to none. And this could happen. I still feel like there's a way for them to be a little bit more flexible, and maybe in practicing whatever this relationship is going to become, that flexibility will come. But for somebody to ask you for 5 years when you're already an older person and you've already lost a husband, how do you know that you have 5 years to give? But she agrees to it. And I just want to say once again that I hate that kid. And she and Seema go to Greece because why not? And everyone gets it on at the end of the episode. Everyone is chatting with someone new. Everybody is in a good space. And that's how, a season finale is supposed to end, I suppose. It still felt very disjointed. And I don't know how to feel about this, but we're done with it. And we'll see what happens next season. We'll see if things make more sense. We'll see if things start to feel more organic. But we made it. So slide in the comments. Let me know what you thought about the season and the finale. Be sure to like and subscribe and share, and tell a friend to tell a friend. Join my Patreon. Send me some money on Cash App so that I too can abandon my life in New York and go to Greece or Egypt, either for a man or to avoid a man. Whatever. We'll see what happens. And I'll talk to you guys soon. I'm sure we'll find something else to review on this channel ASAP. So see you soon. Bye.